Welcome to Sacred Rebels with Claire and Erika.
Hey.
Did it, a new one. There we go. Hello, everybody. What has been happening? I hope your week was as crazy as ours was this last week. Um, yeah. So the big thing that happened was that new moon. There's more than that, but
The new moon and the T-square, I would say, over the weekend.
talk about the T-square again. Remind us what that was, because I remember that it was all fixed and lots of like angry,
Yes.
crunchy energy, but
Yes. So I also have a video of it on my
oh,
Facebook
yeah.
page where like in that video I basically kind of like went more in depth into like the degrees and the human design gates and everything at play. But yeah, so right after, well, basically we had the new moon, which was kind of at play. That's kind of when it started, and then it tightened up on Saturday and kind of went throughout the whole weekend. And it was basically that Pluto was at 0 degrees Aquarius, Jupiter was at 0 degrees Taurus, and Mars was at 0 degrees Leo. So a 0 degree
I did
exact.
not think about that, the 0 degree part of it.
And
Ew.
I said in that video that whenever I think of 0 degrees, I think of like a seed or an egg, right? It's like the most powerful
Yeah.
planting kind of energy. And that was perfect, of course, because we had a new moon too. So like it was
Yeah.
perfect intention setting energy. But with the squares and the oppositions, it was like it was basically like a challenge or an uncomfortable feeling of setting these intentions in the most possible authentic way.
Oh my God, you said that so perfectly. Good job.
Thanks.
But it is true. Like, so in other words, like we had to make uncomfortable boundaries probably this weekend. And we had to like I know that there was like three I can think of, which is not normal. I'm not just setting boundaries here and there all the time, but like I had very distinctive, like I even had to ask for help for one because I was like, I have no fucking idea what to do. I've never been this version of myself yet. I almost want to cry about it. Like it's like it was very hard for me and to be showing up for myself in that way. And I even said that in the like sentence that I said to the person, like this is not fair to me, like something along those lines. So, yeah. So I hope you guys did that too.
And like I said too last week about all of the caretaker energy, I talked a lot about that in my video too, that that's part of the challenge, right? Is that like to be the best caretaker that you can possibly be means that you need to take care of yourself. And it means that you need to allow other people to also learn for themselves. And that's like, that was been the thing hitting me with my daughter, is that like, am I taking care of her in a way that's rescuing her, where she's not ever learning any lessons, she's not ever figuring things out for herself or implementing plans for herself? Or am I caretaking her in a way that keeps her safe while she still has that freedom to grow on her own, and allowing her to feel that uncomfortable feeling, not
Wow.
rescuing her
Yeah.
out? And that's kind of like my toxic trait, right? Is that when someone else feels uncomfortable, it makes me feel uncomfortable, and then I quickly try to get out of it. And it's like that's not the best way I can be, right? So yeah, I think we've
So
all
have I
been.
told you this before where you could do the Aquarius approach to that and look at it as a science
Experiment.
project? Yeah.
So first of all, that's how I look at everything and everybody
Yeah.
in my life. And like, like my boyfriend always gives me shit about it. But yeah, I've been thinking of it in a way of like where I ask her questions a lot more than I used to, like, and try to I actually kind of use you in that way of like a role model as well too, because I know that whenever I've come to you needing help or needing to sort, mostly with emotions, right? Because that's where I'm still uncomfortable with. So like when it comes to emotions and stuff, and like, just like, how does this feel, where we're, like just asking a lot of questions and trying to help her unravel it for herself.
Good. Yeah. But even just the word uncomfortable, being able to have that scientific approach as an Aquarius to just look at that and feel that, I actually find it so amusing.
It's funny you say that because I had that feeling hit me really hard last night. Like, you know, when you're about to like go on a roller coaster, like when the roller coaster is about to go over the edge and you get the like butterflies
Yeah.
in your tummy, sometimes that'll hit me out of nowhere, you know, and it'll make me like my brain will kind of start going on this hamster wheel of like, well, something bad must be about to happen. Like that's where my brain
Oh
automatically
God.
goes. It's like,
Wow.
it's like my intuition trying to tell me that something bad is going to happen. But then, you know, like you said with the experiment, I kind of just like took, because I've been really experimenting with my own regulation
Yeah.
as we
Good.
talked about. So I took a deep breath and just kept saying like, you know, I am safe, I am here, I'm present, like that
Perfect.
kind of stuff, because I knew
Good.
that that's what it was
Yeah.
existentially, right?
Right.
So
It's
yeah.
an anxiety little bubble guts
And I think
thing.
too, to add on that, that like if you anybody listening, like in the spiritual realm, like that sometimes shit just hits you out of nowhere that you have no logical
And
explanation
it could
for.
be empathetically from somebody else or yourself or a guide or whatever. But in that moment right then, you don't have to stop and figure it out and whatever. You can, this too shall pass, breathe through this, ground it down, whatever. I always like take it and disconnect it because I know exactly what feeling you're talking about. That is very like I randomly get that and I associate it with almost like crying. Like I feel like
So weird.
when I get the BGs, the bubble guts, I feel like I could cry because the BGs to me is feelings. It is emotions. It's big emotions. Like when me and Cho first started dating, I remember getting the bubble guts so much and I like wanted to cry just because the emotion is so beautiful. I'm a little bit too much in that area.
Well, no, but that's beautiful because I think that that's kind of my thing is I've always been so disconnected from
Yeah.
emotions and stuff like that, that, you know, it hits me in a way that my brain just wants to go, you know, crazy over it. As to where, like what you just said, it's like, you know, that it's an emotion, you know,
Yeah.
like I don't even think about crying when I feel that way.
Oh, see, and I think it's because, you know, as us growing up in the generation that we did, like the second that you feel like you need to cry, you have to be like, you know, like you're immediately like body. So
Yes.
that's when I know that, and that's why I disconnect it. And I guess that's probably why I became so I was trying to look for a petrified wood, so attached to petrified wood for me, because that's the energy that I'm able to just be like boop, boop, and just put it into the petrified wood, and I'm just detached. I can already tell with the tarot that I pulled today of what we're going into. So we should just start because we're going to keep tangenting.
Okay. So yes, and I want to kind of like I want to when I hopefully try to upload this one to YouTube, go and make like little timestamps for people. So I want to
We're
make it
learning,
clear.
guys. Bear with us.
So I want to make it clear, like every time I start on a new day, I'm gonna be a little bit more pronounced with it, right? So
Yeah. This is
Monday. Yeah,
Monday.
this is Monday. May 22nd. So Jupiter has moved, Jupiter and Mars have moved to 1 degree. So that T square isn't as strong with Pluto now, but since Mars and Jupiter are keeping pace with each other, they're still in a pretty tight square. And it's funny because if you did watch my video, then you know how I talked about how Pluto was kind of the scapegoat of the whole thing anyway, because Pluto is at its fall in Aquarius. So a lot of people will bypass Pluto, right? Because it's not as strong in Aquarius, because Aquarius always wants to look to the future, to be more positive, to be looking on the bright side, as to where Pluto's like, no, we need to go into the past, we need to dig deep down, we need to look at the gross and the ugly. So they conflict each other. So now that we've moved this whole T square off of Pluto a little bit, now don't get me wrong, it's still there because it's only 1 degree away. But now that we've moved off of it a little bit, again, it's going to be even easier to bypass those Pluto lessons. So what I want to say about that too, though, is that with Mars at play, we are getting a lot of ambition to move towards whatever we are setting our intentions in, especially with that Jupiter and Taurus energy. These are going to be long-term goals, right? Long-term plans, the bigger picture of your plans. But like I said, with that Pluto kind of getting swept under the rug, you can also be too much into the Mars energy, which can give you a lot of like, you know, anger and aggression. And yeah, I was just thinking that as I was about to say it. I was like, yeah, just, you know, frustration even. And I think that I don't know. Sometimes I'm feeling too with this Taurus energy. I think it's kind of giving everyone these feelings of like, I've been working so hard for this for a whole fucking year, and why isn't it done yet? Like, why can't I have it yet?
Oh, and with just hitting Gemini season with that on top of it, oh God.
Yeah, because now your mental shit
Your
is getting
logic is
louder.
kicked in with your feelings, with your anger. It's a lot. And then that Pluto is like, you're gonna change.
But the cool part about where Pluto is right now and where Jupiter is right now, especially in the human design world, is it's about working within your limitations and getting creative about overcoming things that are within your limitations, right? So that's why you feel this impatience because this hasn't worked out yet, but it hasn't worked out yet because you're basically supposed to be taking what you already have and learning how to put those things together to get you further towards where you want to go rather than it just dropping down into your fucking lap. And I think that that's where everybody's getting hung up right now is that they
Yeah.
think that it's something that's just
It's
supposed
supposed to
to
just, yeah.
happen to them. And it's like, no, not right now, right? Like right now it's time for you to be cultivating and growing what you already have. And
What can I say something really quick?
yes,
I
please.
feel like what you're describing. So I'm gonna go off on a tangent about forgot about Dre again. It's gonna happen. I just have to. Okay. So I have a dead person. His name is Sean. His nickname is Six. I have had this last weekend. I had a lot of stuff like go on with him. If I start crying, it's okay. I've had a lot of. He popped up a lot this weekend. Basically, is what I'm trying to say. And I had through the boundary thing that I was just talking about with you, I had this whole thing that pop up in my head where after I made the boundary, then the Forgot About Dre song comes in into my head. And that's my dead person six's way of showing me like you did it, you know? So the meaning of that song, have I done this on this podcast before? Or have I
I don't,
just done this
I
with
don't
you?
think so. I don't
Okay.
think so. You've done it with me, and I just like as you're talking, I just imagine we cut to the music and the sunglasses come over your face, and it's like Thug Life.
But it's so funny because like if you knew Six as a person, like at the last stage of his life, he was so gangster. But like Eminem is like not gangster, you know. So he was more like Tech Nine. So he appeals to me with the Eminem because he knows I know this. Anyways, so the Forgot About Dre song, the part where I'm gonna just fucking look the lyrics up. I'm going to oh my god, it's almost 11:11. So we in good juge. Okay. Forgot about Dre lyrics. My throat is so weird today. Okay. Hang on one second. I just need to find it's this main line is the one that just like ugh, you know. Fuck, come on. Oh my god. I'm having that ADHD overwhelm because there's way too many words happening right now, you know?
I know. I was like thinking of this whole thing that just happened, and I was like, I'm not gonna say it, otherwise she won't be able to concentrate on looking.
Yeah, man, this ADHD is strong right now. Okay, so here we go. Because I'm from the streets of Compton, I told them all them little gangsters who you think helped mold them all. Now you want to run around talking about guns like I ain't got none. What you think I sold them all? Okay, so in my life, that means like I have been doing this since 2010. So that's me being from the streets of God.
Started from the bottom, now we're here.
Yeah. But like that's what that means. It's like I've been doing this for so long, and I have been molding and teaching and telling people you have to have boundaries, you have to be mean, you need to be impeccable with your word, you need to be strong. And then when people get mad at me for doing that, that's where I'm like, what do you think? That's where the guns come. Like, what do you think? I sold them all? I'm still the same fucking person. Okay, I'm done.
Dude, I love that. Okay, just a little quick funny side story. So the other day, Charlie was brushing her teeth or something, and I don't know how it started, but she said something and it reminded me of the other Dre song where it starts out with like ring ding dong,
Yeah.
ring, so I started singing that to Charlie. And then she was like, what song is that? And I was like, you don't know who Dr. Dre is? And she was like, no. And then my brother from the other room, he was like, she forgot about Dre. We all just started dying anyway. So.
Yeah, but no, it's been a thing for me, especially this whole year, because this is when Critty was with me, and I think it was so much stronger because Six knew Critty too, so his energy was closer.
And that's back to the caretaking thing again too, with all of this.
Oh, Six, I totally took care of him, so that makes sense. So yeah, we got to find our inner gangstas, our inner badasses, be able to stand up for ourselves. We know what we need to be doing. That Pluto thing is going to make it very fucking shitty if we don't just do it, you know? Okay.
And I think that is so true too. And if anybody needs help not bypassing that Pluto energy, it is right on top of my Black Lilith. And so I have not been able to bypass that fucker. So like, yeah, if you need to talk.
Wow. Huh.
But okay, so also today the moon is in Cancer. Back to that caretaking energy. Yeah. But I think that it's cool we are getting this very good emotional, like, I think of it as like just this emotional cleansing kind of taking place today and tomorrow. All this bullshit that we've been going through, even with like, Venus's transit into Cancer and Mars through Cancer. Mars hated being in Cancer, so I think that was difficult. But now the moon is where she wants to be, and she is like in sync and in alignment, and I feel it as that anyway, is that it's just kind of just this like shower, right? This like emotional cleansing taking place.
And I just had the realization that since Pluto has moved into Aquarius, we have never been able to really enjoy Cancer energy for the last 15 years.
Wait, what?
Pluto was in Capricorn, opposing all Cancer for the last 15 years.
Yeah, okay, I get what you're saying now. Huh. Ain't
so
that
now,
some shit?
I know, I never thought of that until right now. So now when it's going through Venus, this is the first time it's went through Venus in the past 15 years where we are able to feel loved.
Feel it without that opposition. Yep, feel it without that, like, pull yourself up by the bootstraps bullshit coming in on the other side.
I love that. Yeah.
Good job, Claire. That was a good one.
It wasn't me. Yeah. It just popped into my head. I don't know who it was.
That is cool, though. I think, too, that Pluto, like I said, Pluto in Aquarius isn't, like, Pluto in Capricorn was a lot more gnarly, for sure, than Pluto in Aquarius. But keep in mind that it's coming back into Capricorn soon. Yeah. And it's coming back
to... this right now, so let's just enjoy it.
Yes. So, and I think that as time goes forward, too, it'll be kind of like, I feel it as, too, is like we're all in the same boat. Like when Pluto is in Aquarius, we're all kind of collectively going through it. So that feels better too.
Yeah.
Okay, so Sun is now in Gemini as well. So we are officially in Gemini season. We kind of already talked about that, but I think that while it's in Gemini season, we are taking account of our thoughts and being more aware of our thoughts, especially at first, with it being in that, I don't remember, I just talked about it, the human design gate that it's in now too. I read up on that and it was like, slow down, be in the moment, observe your thoughts. And that's so hard for every Gemini I know. They
Yep.
freaking hate it. They
Yep.
hate meditating. I still have
Yeah.
yet to get a Gemini to freaking meditate. So
They
like,
have to do something else. Same with Virgos. Like the only way that I can get Geminis and Virgos to meditate is like go for a walk and listen to a guided meditation, or sew or knit or color or whatever, and then meditate. Like they have to be doing
doing
numerous things.
something. But that is kind of the lesson though with the archetype of Gemini, is that you're always trying to distract yourself. And you know, so that's why things like meditation and being in the moment are important, because Gemini is like what, how did you used to explain it? The freeway in the third eye, basically.
Yeah,
It's like
rush hour
traffic. Yeah,
yeah.
rush hour traffic in the third eye. So you have to be able to constantly be like, and it's like also about this information overload hitting you in all these different ways. So if you're the type of person that feels comfortable having the news on in the background while you're writing on your computer, while your kid is telling you a story, like that kind of stuff, for me, I can't stand that. I need one at a time. If my kid's talking to me, I need to shut the TV off. Like, so be aware of that, and be aware of how this information is coming in. Like, you know, for instance, if you have the news on in the background and it's all just a bunch of negative bullshit, that shit's getting stored in there. That shit is clouding up your third eye, right? So like, just to be kind of aware of that as we go forward.
Yeah, like what is, so we were talking about in Taurus season, what do you value? What do you value? Like so much. So when we come into Gemini season, what information are you allowing to come in, and what information is valuable to you? Like you need to be looking at that. Like, do you really need to be watching the news? I haven't fucking watched the news in years and I'm fine. I know that
See,
I
so
don't know a lot of stuff, but I'm fucking okay with that.
and it's like to like it's funny too, because I put this, I think, in my video that I was making as well, about like how one of my biggest issues with a lot of other mainstream astrologers or like woo woo people is that they do a lot of like fear mongering. And so they'll say, you know, like, oh, when this transit happens, a giant disease is gonna break out and we're all gonna die.
Yeah.
And I was talking about how, like, you know, when you're speaking and when you're listening, how the messages can either be expanding and uplifting, or they can be contracting and depleting, right? So it's like, yeah, you might see something. So like, same with the news, right? Like it might seem like it's all bad and everything's going to end if you turn on the news, and that's depleting, that's contracting, because then you end up in a more nihilistic headset, where like headspace, where you're like, well, why paint this picture when the world's just going to end anyway, you know? And whether you realize that consciously or not, it's going on. As to where personally, that's why when I give out my astrology messages, I do always try to make them uplifting. And maybe, you know, it's like, maybe that was spiritual bypassing, but we can look at the ugly and then still see the bright side of it and move forward. Because if I'm just like, oh, it's all doom and gloom, then there's no fucking point. And then we are manifesting more doom and gloom. You know, we're putting those vibes out there to happen.
Excuse me. I think that I agree and I understand where you're coming from, and I love that you just said that. I want that you put out more uplifting and stuff like that, because it's hard to say that now, especially with the gatekeeping and the spiritual community and blah blah blah. But what I want to add to that is that having positivity can be a goal. And if you have goals for growing, and that's just passing through bad, passing through good, passing through whatever, like goals to get to the next feeling, thing, whatever. If you choose growth, of course you're going to choose to try to be happy. You're not going to choose to not be happy. You know what I mean?
I like that. I like that. No, because that's basically touching on what I'm trying to say, is that I'm not trying to just be like toxically positive, like, you know, but I'm saying that, like, kind of
Let's
like
be
what you
realistic.
said.
Yeah.
Right. Like kind of just what you just said, the big picture, the overarching point is to not to be happy 100% of the time, but maybe just to be happy for more moments than I'm currently happy, or to get through the bad moments a little bit better or a little bit quicker or a little bit more smoothly until I'm back into that good feeling I want to feel again. But I think that a lot of people out there in this community are either one way or the other. They're either you should be happy all the time, and if you're not, then you're fuck up and you're doing something wrong, which is bullshit. None of these spiritual gurus or entrepreneurs are fucking happy all the time. I don't give a shit. Like, I do not believe that.
Nobody is.
Or
Man, I fucking woke up so pissed off today. I have never been in touch with this much anger in years. Like, we're not all happy all the time. Like,
but
I
it's how we
literally,
react and
yeah,
deal with those feelings that is what makes the
yeah.
difference. Thank you. Yeah. And then there's the other side of it where it's just all bad, all fear mongering, all
Yeah.
negativity.
Shadow work when it's okay.
Yeah, like, oh, and those are the types of people that are trying to keep you stuck in a cycle of healing so that way you always need them.
Yeah, yucky. Yep. Okay, we're enough of that. Let's go
I
on.
felt your anger there. For my heart was like,
Sorry.
okay. So also Mars is now in Leo. We already kind of talked about this too, but I did want to point out with this that Venus is going to retrograde in Leo at the end of July. So we are going to be getting a lot of this Leo energy from here on out because Mars is going to be here for a while too. So with that being said, just to keep in mind that Leo energy is really good for inner child work. It is really good for authenticity finding. It is really good for creativity. It is really good for the solar plexus and sacral chakra. But I guess like trying to say anything negative to watch out for, it could be just like over dramatizing things or not being humble. This is one thing I did write down. Having the discernment to know when you should be front and center stage and taking up attention and taking up space in a room, but also being humble enough to give that attention to someone else when you know that it's needed.
And a lot of ego. And it's in Venus. So this is with your ego with relationships, your ego with money, your ego with friendships, your ego with your job, all of the things. I'm already seeing excuse me, things with people, friends, clients that it's going to be popping out from them. So it's going to be a good thing. It might be like a good ego death that happens. I mean, and to me, to be the warning person that I am, like Venus retrogrades are hard.
That doesn't hit till July though, just
Yeah.
to say that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're getting a taste of it now with Mars energy.
With Mars and Leo, yeah. So yeah, that must be all this anger that makes sense.
Because too, it can also be the other side of the ego death. Like I think also for me and you, sometimes since we have a lot of Aquarius energy too, it's kind of for us more, it's like when we kind of get hit with that whole where we've been invalidated or ignored or unseen, you know what I mean? It kind of hits us with these Leo transits, or at least I feel like that's what it does for me. And then I get that fire up under my ass to be like, no, I matter too. Listen to me.
Stick up for ourselves better. Okay. So yeah, I guess that is a good thing. Yes. As we're working through all these boundaries as we're talking about. Yeah. Okay. So Mars and Leo going to be a little bit more fiery, but it's fixed. It's the fixed sign. So you can contain that fire. It doesn't have to get crazy. Yep.
And it just goes back to that authenticity thing, really. Like, as long as you're being authentic with yourself, you're good to go. That's basically all you need to know about that. Okay, Tuesday, May 23rd. The moon is still in Cancer, and it's going to square Chiron tomorrow, briefly. And Mars is also still squaring Jupiter. So, and it's going to conjunct Venus. So I think too that tomorrow you might get a brief little glimpse of like where other people are maybe wounding you or hurting you, and just process that emotions. I don't think it's going to take any action. Like, it's not something you necessarily need to act on, but it's something you need to feel. and it's something that you need to process as you feel. And with that, Mars
I
still.
need to say this because you have to remind yourself that this is a part of Gemini season, and Chiron is in Aries, and Mars is in Leo. Like, shit could fly out of your mouth.
The only reason why I say that you have a better chance of that not happening is because of the moon in its home sign, and just kind of like that, just feeling, you know. I feel like that's going to be stronger than all that other shit going on. But you know, you're right, Claire. Like it could, but I think that it won't if you feel your feelings.
If you choose to feel.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, dude. This week ahead is kind of just meh and weird. I don't know. It feels weird to me. Mars is still what's that?
I was like, I need to look up what I got going on tomorrow. What is my life? Like, do I need to cry? I need to like make some time. I'm okay. I think I'll be good. All right.
Dude, I'm gonna be so busy these next few. Ugh.
Yeah.
I don't even want to. Okay. So Mars still doing its square thing to Jupiter too. So we've already talked a lot about this. Just keep that in mind too with tomorrow. And that's really all I had written down for Tuesday. I don't know.
Okay, I want to say something because this just popped into my head. When it comes to these early days or the May days of Gemini, and I never really talk about this that much when it comes to like, you know, the May Geminis are different than the June Geminis or whatever, you know, you have to think of it in the case of they're a little Taurus-y, you know, they have that Taurus energy in there. So the reason that I feel that I could be an expert on this is because I literally know so many people in this week's birthday. Like my mom, my sister, my best friend, ex person that I used to work with, an like so every single day. Like so anyways, these people are a lot more stubborn. So in this time, that's where that Taurus energy and everything comes in, is that Gemini energy wants to be free. Like going back to the analogy of like, let's just utilize the air signs. If I'm describing mutable, cardinal, and fixed, Gemini is all of the air in the room. It's everything. It's a tiny thing in the corner. It's way over there. It is all of the things, the freedom of all of the things. And it can soak up anything. And then the Libra, the cardinal, is the fan, the wind, the movement in the air conditioning is moving air. And then the Aquarius is the alien over there, full of air. We only feel that we can have control of our bubble, whatever that is including. So it's just that. But when we have that fixed energy, that Taurus energy also, plus that Gemini energy, we're like shedding skin feel. And we don't talk, I don't feel like people talk about that much when we switch seasons. Like it feels very uncomfortable coming from a fixed sign into a muted sign. If we were to go muted to fixed, that would feel fucking better, in my opinion. But it feels like we're shedding skin right now. And it's going to be uncomfortable, and it's going, just uncomfortable. Just that word is something we're going to have to adapt right now.
You made me think of it's funny. First of all, it's funny you say that because I talked about that with the T-square and how since it's in this fixed sign, fixed people have a hard time being adaptable. That's the mutable energy, right? Is being adaptable because you cardinals, like you start it, and then fixed is you maintain it, sustain it, and then mutable is you continue to sustain and maintain while you're overcoming, right? While you're yes. So when you just said that whole analogy, it made me think of like being that fixed air bubble, like you said, and while this Gemini energy is kind of shooting shit at you, you're going like, am I gonna keep this as part of my air bubble or not? You know, and you're discerning before you're letting more air in.
Yep. Yeah. Perfect. Yes. Something else popped in my head, but it just fell out. So, oh well.
I think to ask too, like, does it fit with the long-term goal? Because I think that is that's kind of like keep your eye on the prize type energy with Jupiter there. Is like, does like if you know the big picture and the overarching theme of what you want to feel in your life, then whatever the hell comes in at you, you can easily filter it through does this fit my long-term goal? Like, does this fit my overarching point?
and what can you do to add routine wise or to better yourself wise to get to that long-term goal or work on it or whatever. Because that's Gemini too, is gathering all the fucking information for every single thing, feeling, thought, fart, whatever. So
Ooh, yes. And like also with communication wise, like I had talked about too, like sometimes when I think of Taurus energy, and I talked to you about this too, how you'll have like that idea and then you don't have all the things necessary yet to like make that idea come true. Like, for instance, I will get these insights or downloads or whatever you want to call them all the time, where I'm like seeing this whole little short animation play out in my head and it's like explaining some deep
yeah,
philosophical thing. And I'm like, well, that's cool. You know, it's cool that I had that idea, but I don't know an animator. I don't know a video editor. I don't know, you know what I'm saying? So
yep,
it's like, that's okay though. I can keep that idea safe somewhere
yeah,
and work on what I'm cultivating. And if that idea is meant to happen, then guess what? One day I'm gonna use this Gemini energy to communicate and reach out and talk to people, you know, and then maybe I will find that video editor
yep.
and it will all come together and I'll be like, wow, you know?
Yeah. So, yep, communication is a thing that we have to do in Gemini season 2. So there's that.
And it
But
can
yeah,
get exhausting. So just keep
yeah,
that in mind too. I have a lot of Geminis in my life, and that's the only thing I will say is that sometimes they exhaust the shit out of me.
yep.
They have a lot of
Hot
dumping.
air.
They can dump. You know that dump? They can just do
Yeah.
that infinitively, like just forever.
Mhm.
Okay. Wednesday, May
Wednesday.
24th. Okay, Moon will move into Leo. So then we get all the Leo vibes. It's gonna make a conjunction to Mars, and when it first moves into Leo, it will oppose Pluto, and it will also square Jupiter and square the nodes. So on Wednesday, we are going to start to get to really feel and again emotionally process this T-square that happened this last weekend. So don't be surprised if something from Saturday pops back up on Wednesday and you cry about it, you know? So like just keep that in mind, and also keep in mind keep your anger and frustration in check that day too, because like what you said about shit just exploding, well, again, that's why I'm like, while it's in Cancer, you can really just feel the feelings, but then it's going to come in with Mars and Pluto and in Leo, you know, so then the emotions are going to sync up with that inertia and that fire.
Yeah. I did hear, I was listening to something and everybody was saying for these next, because it feels like the moon stays in Leo for like 4 fucking days or something. But like anyone that has a fire moon, we're gonna have a real hard time the rest of this week. So really, and I need to know that. Like, I don't want to fearmonger, and I don't want to, I'm just gonna step on a pedestal for 1 second. I don't need to fearmonger. I'm not doing anything like that. Like, for me, I have an Aries moon, the most fucking immature of all the moons. I need to learn that I'm gonna be a fucking dickhead. I need to learn that I need to have myself in check so I'm not a dickhead, you know?
But I
That's
know
that's
you well enough to know that you're not the type of person, like you've evolved enough in your moon sign to not use it as an excuse. You use it more as a keep an eye on this or
yeah,
watch out for that or be aware of this. You don't go
yes.
like, you know, oh sorry, I called this lady at
Right,
the store a fucking bitch. It's because the moon's in Leo,
right.
haha, you know, and then go on about your life.
Yeah, yeah. No, I don't do that. I mean, I will say that I know that my whole schedule gets fucked up and completely crazy, and it's always during Mercury retrograde. So I know I blame Mercury for that, but that's literally the only thing for myself. Other people,
You don't use it as a scapegoat, is what I'm trying to say though.
I
Like you
kind of
still deal
do
with your
because
shit.
I don't mind it when things get rescheduled and I don't have to do anything.
Well, at least you can admit it.
Oh yeah, I'll admit everything. But that's why I'm way more lenient, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. Like, things come up, it's okay. I'm very like flowy during that Mercury retrograde time. So
Yes.
That's the only
Let's
time in my life that I allow myself to be, probably. So I guess
no,
that
and that's a perfect way to handle that anyway, you know,
yeah,
that like because everybody's dealing with that shit. So again, you're
yeah,
more aware that
yes.
this is why
It's
my
like a
laptop
learning
won't turn
thing.
on, or like, yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
And then you can still let it go. You
Yes.
can get through it and move on.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
Okay, also on Wednesday, Venus is going to start making a pretty tight square to Chiron. So we
Oh,
have a lot of squares a lot this week in friction type energy. When Venus makes it square to Chiron, it's going to feel similar to what I talked about on Tuesday. Like basically, we're just not leaving that energy of just like you're kind of realizing this wounding that might be taking place from the people, places, and things in your life.
and Venus is in Leo now. No,
Venus is
Cancer.
in Cancer still. Yeah.
Oh, duh, because Aries. Okay. So it will be squaring. And how many days is Venus going to be squaring Chiron? Sorry, out of nowhere
You're gonna
question.
feel it extra on Wednesday, but then you'll still feel it on Thursday, but not it's not gonna last that long at like a very tight degree anyway. Is because that's basically what I want to point out. If I sit here and make notes on every little thing, then
Oh
it
my
would be
God.
way
Yeah.
too long. So I kind
Yeah.
of just pay special attention
Yeah.
to like those really tight aspects.
Yeah.
But yeah, you could definitely still be feeling it for, you know, a couple of days.
Mhm.
But I think that it's back to that caretaker energy and it's back to that identity wounding, right? It's like how you see yourself, how other people, like, kind of maybe you're going to be realizing this misalignment when it comes to how you're seeing yourself right now versus how everything else is seeing you. And does that match up? Like, are people seeing you for who you really are, or are they seeing you for who they want you to be? That's a big thing that might be hitting people.
Okay. I know that that is a big thing for a lot of people. So that's a hard thing.
And especially with that caretaking energy there too, it can be like, you know, oh, this lady has been my best friend for 8 years, but
Yeah.
I'm realizing now that she only sees me as someone who's going to take care of her, someone that's going to help her out, someone that's going to mother her, but she doesn't see me for like who I am, which is all these other things besides just being a caretaker. You
Yeah.
know, like maybe I want to be validated for what
Yeah.
I'm going through or need help with what I'm going through, like that kind of thing.
And we're going to have the energy to be able to say that, to stick
Yes,
up for
express
ourselves.
ourselves.
To
Yes.
do it. But that's why we say with the whole like, okay, we got some fire going on, be careful, you know.
But and
It's scary, but people that normally don't have that energy are gonna have that energy, and that's so good. But be
and also
careful, everyone's gonna be in that energy.
yes, right.
So
So
be
and I
graceful,
think
be
that
compassionate. Yeah.
I really like that you pointed that out too, because also keep in mind that Mercury is still in its shadow
Yeah.
phase. So maybe like you figure out how to express yourself, but you write it first, you know, before you
Oh,
say it out loud. So you can kind of make sure you're meaning what you're saying or that you're getting your point
yeah.
across as best as you
Good.
can. But then also, like Claire said, keep in mind if you get some whack ass long message from someone chewing your ass out and you don't think that you're like, you know, oh hell no, this isn't right. Like take a few seconds, take a deep breath, and remember what we're saying right now, because
Right.
they probably didn't take my advice to sit and write it out first, so
Yeah.
they're probably just exploding all over
Yeah.
you.
And it's I mean, Aries, you know, it's immature. So and
But that's why
it's
there's
gonna
so
be
much inner child shit going on right now too, though,
oh,
because it
that
is
feels
all this
so
wounding that
cool
took
though.
place before you matured, you know,
Yes,
and
yes.
that's the kind of stuff that really rules your life.
And
Dude,
haven't you been
actually,
noticing, like, just in this, because Chiron went into Aries, I want to say in 2018, I think. And just since then, well, the pandemic helped a lot because we didn't have anything to do. But a lot of the millennial generation and everything, we are all going back to that nostalgia of like, oh, look how that made me feel, or look at that. Like, we're in all of that. So, right now in this moment, here comes that Cancer mama energy, actual mom, or how you are a mom. So, these aren't fun things to be sifting through or feeling or talking about or whatever. But they need to fucking be. You need to fucking do it. Stop pretending that things are okay. Stop sweeping things under the rug. That generation is almost dead. Let it be dead. I'm so sick of that.
And like with that inner child energy, like I know that like me and you see the same therapist when it comes to that EMDR thing. And one thing I really liked that she does that my previous therapist didn't do is that when you are kind of reprocessing these things, she will have your adult self go back and fix this shit with your young self. So like remember, because this was a big lesson for me when it comes to, because I am a mom and I also had a very shitty mom. So like a lot of my learning journey has been like, how do I be the mom? I've always been like, how do I be the kind of mom I wish I would have had to my kids? And lately, with all this transit energy going on, it's been, how do I be that kind of mom to myself? Because how, you know, like, how is it fair that, and I had my first kid at 19. So like, I haven't, you know, I went straight from wounded child.
Able to be a mom to, or have a mom. Like, yeah, me too. Like
taken care of. Yeah.
It's weird. It feels so weird. Like I talked about that. I don't know if I said it in the podcast, but like in Vegas was one of the first times that I felt nurtured. I'm not going to say by like a stranger because it's not a stranger. This is family now. It's Cho's cousin. But I barely know her that well. And I don't know how to be loved. I don't know how to be nurtured. I don't know how to feel that. But that's what we need to be in that uncomfortableness. It feels fucking weird. Talk about it.
But the more that we keep doing it, the less weird it's going to feel. Yes. Is the same thing that I keep telling myself. Yeah.
And it brings all good. Oh my God, the good that brought, you know? So keep choosing to be uncomfortable.
I wanted to say I saw this quote on Facebook and it says, so many broken children living in grown bodies mimicking adult lives. I love that. That's perfect for what we're talking about on this day. So
whoa. Yeah. I know.
And
I've seen so many TikToks and so many things where it's like, of course, us as millennials, as adults now, we have all these toys and all these things that we didn't get or whatever from the 90s, or we got it now and we can actually play with it or whatever. Because like okay, trying to like not sidetrack, but like it just goes back to the fact of however the fuck it feels to you. Like if you buying a Squishmallow or you buying a fucking blow up alien on Amazon, like if that is something that is going to bring you joy and heal little you, and just fucking do it, guys. It feels so good. It really does. I didn't have like, I'm not saying I'm not going to go into it right now. I will, and I know that time will be coming, but right now in this moment I'm not going to go fully into it. But I am now getting to enjoy childhood stuff, playing, like that fun. Like that's why we went to Disneyland for our honeymoon. Like, yeah. Okay, I'm done.
No, I love that. I love that. I think that I'm like just now finally hitting that chapter in my life. And I have that uncomfortable feeling of like, and I know that it's been hitting me a lot lately of just like, going and I love this when it comes to Pluto. It's me saying I'm going to go to these places and I don't know what the fuck I'm going to find.
Yeah.
Because I also know that I have a lot of memories that I've locked up somewhere, you know, deep inside, and I can kind of feel these things kind of like I told you, like I just had randomly started crying to a song that made absolutely no fucking sense. And like I know that there's things like that that bring me back to a moment in time that I can't quite make sense of yet. And it's because I moved through my life at the fucking rapid speed of just trying to get to the next thing. Yeah, exactly. And but it is I'm more aware now of like what we just said, like when little kid Erika is coming out versus adult Erika. And I've even like been having those conversations with my boyfriend where it's like, you know, like for instance, he likes to rush me a lot when we're driving. He does the whole backseat driver thing and that pisses me off. And I'm like, so in those moments, like it's literally little kid him, you know, that got yelled at to go faster, move faster, go faster. And it's little kid me who had the yelled at to go faster, move faster. And then both of our little kids come out and go,
being a human is so exhausting. It is. Like having that couple of like, oh, my trigger triggered your trigger. So we got to like take a day off from each other and then we'll talk about it. Can you even see that that was a trigger? Like, ah.
Yep. Yep. And it's just like, then it repeats and then it
Yep.
repeats. And and that's the thing, is that it never fucking stops. So don't
Yeah.
feel like you're, first of all, don't feel like you're alone, because millions of other people
Right.
in the world are going through the same shit. And second of all, don't think that
Don't
you're,
give
you know,
up.
yeah, or that you're some kind of left behind piece of shit because
Yeah.
you're not there yet. This has no finish
Oh
line. No
God.
one is there yet.
No. My grandma's 90 years old and she still doesn't know what the hell is going on.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Most people, you know, you're not going to figure this shit out in one lifetime.
Yep.
You know, like it's not enough time.
That's okay. Okay, next.
Okay, Thursday, May 25th. The moon will still be in Leo and Mars will start to square the nodes more intensely at like, I think it's like 3 degrees.
Okay.
So, ambition to move forward into the future, to leave the past behind, to move into a future that is more authentically aligned with you, and to value things that are more authentically aligned with you. Back to the same repetitive message again. Moon will still be in Leo. Finding this authenticity is going to be much easier, and it's going to I also wanted to see too that when you're starting to feel real shitty and you're having emotions that you don't know what to do with, being creative in some type of way is going to be a superpower during this time too. So
And if you guys don't think that you're creative, because I have so many people that say stuff like that to me, you are creative. Put music on. Put like dance or listen to music. That's creative. Put on a Disney movie. That's creative.
Some of the most logical people I know, like let's take for instance my aunt. She is really good at organizing. Guess what? That's creative.
That's creative, yeah. Working out, I always say this to people that are like very big into fitness and stuff. They're like, I'm not creative. I'm like, oh, you make your workouts. That is so creative. Oh my God. Because you're taking your exact body and creating what you want.
That's unique to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like what I mean by this too. Set up a life that works for you. Value the things of your life and value should work for you. You know, it's
just you. Don't mold into others.
100%. Which is why, like, I don't like as a life coach or whatever, I don't even really want to come up with like some strict program, because I really do.
Can't.
The more that I've learned, I've just realized you just need these little foundational tools, and then you need to make them your own.
Yeah. That's such an Aquarius thing to say. It's like figure out the rules and you do your little dance.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's funny.
Okay. Anything else for Thursday?
No. Nope, that's it. So Friday, May 26th. Mars is still squaring the nodes. One thing I want to add to this too, with the fixated energy and the being adaptable thing, when we have these squares and frictions, what it really means is like how, so like for instance, if the north node is in Taurus, it is fixated on that value finding, as I said. Now, the problem is that if it's not being adaptable and it's just fixated on this value finding, it might not adapt when new information presents itself, or a obstacle gets put in front of you, or whatever the fuck happens. Like whatever happens and comes at you in life, how can you still stay fixated on that value finding, but maneuver your way of doing it, right? Like maneuver, be adaptable, essentially. Now you can use the friction energy. So you can use that Mars in Leo to help you with that creatively, right? So maybe it's like I can't think of an analogy, so I want you to help with that.
Okay, well, so this thing popped in my head, so I'm going to talk about this. So I just recently started watching a new show on Peacock. It's Rainn Wilson from The Office, Dwight, his show about finding happiness. And like he goes all over the world to like in pursuit of his like happiness or whatever, because through the pandemic, whatever, he got very depressed and he realized like blah 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 blah. Anyways, so the first place that he went to was Iceland, and it was such a beautiful, amazing like story of why these people are so happy because they say that Iceland is the like happiest place on earth or whatever. Like everybody says, like per capita, blah, 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 whatever. So Iceland, it could be dark one day, it could be raining one day, it could be snowing one day, it could be blah blah blah. But the main thing, the main reason why they are happy is that they accept and adapt. They're like, oh well, we can't do that today, we'll do that tomorrow, no big deal, we'll just move on. Like it's all about accepting and adapting. And that goes back, and I know I've said this before many, many, many years ago, but I did Reiki on a tiny little old cute man who was like 87 years old, and he was so full of life. And I was like, I'm just so curious. Like, what is, I don't ever ask that to people because I think it's a little silly, but like, I wanted to know for him, like, where does that come from? Like, how have you enjoyed your life? And he's like, it's all about acceptance, kid. You just got to learn to accept everything.
I
So
love that.
yeah. So going into what you were just kind of saying, did I,
No, that helped.
okay.
I think too that when it comes to this adaptability, I think the things that might hit you that require you to adapt might be things where you realize that you have maybe been doing something in a way that hasn't been honoring your authenticity.
Oh, so that's going to be something that could be coming up in this time. So
Yes.
don't be beating yourself up. Don't be so hard on yourself. Forgive yourself with that. Nurture. Yeah. Oh my God. Oh, that was Grey's Anatomy last week. There was a whole thing that where I can't talk about it because it'll spoil. Never mind. It'll spoil the whole thing. But it was all about that. Like, oh my gosh, this is going to undo years of work. But now I know the difference and I have to change.
Yes, and that's kind of what I said too about the uncomfortableness when you don't bypass Pluto with it, right? Because like I guess the way that I kind of think about it is like something like you've been doing something a certain way and then something comes up and you're just like, holy shit, I just realized that I've been doing it that way because when I was 5, my mom told me that she would love it if blah 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 blah, and that's the whole reason I've been doing it subconsciously this whole time, but I never fucking even liked it or wanted to do it in the first place. That kind of shit will be kind of like coming
Good.
up.
Good. So hold yourself through that, guys. It's gonna be emotional.
But it does feel uncomfortable because like one example I always use for this is I always think of like a scientist. Like if you take a scientist and he came up with this theory and then he spent 20 years of his career trying to prove this theory or build more research towards this theory, and then 20 years later some other young little whippersnapper scientist comes out and completely disproves his theory.
Yep.
He has a very fork in the road thing going on. He can either
Yep.
cognitively dissonate to save his ego and somehow try to skirt his way around that and be like, no, my theory is still accurate. Or he can be humble and be like, wow, I just lost 20 years of my life to this, but I will still maneuver and adapt because I still love and care about science and I still
Yes.
love and care about the values of hypothesis and
Yes.
like what I mean, the rules of science. And so then he will adjust and move into
Yeah.
his next theory, right?
Yeah, that's all ego. You're gonna allow your ego to go to the side and yeah, choose what's right. Choose what's yeah, right. Is the only way that I can think of it.
Yes, to be following your overarching goal that should encapsulate these long-term goals is in values, and everything should be aligned with your values. So
Yeah.
if you know your values, then if that scientist, if his value was science and the love of science, then he would value that enough
Yeah.
to not let his ego win that battle.
And that's all shit that you were supposed to be doing during Taurus season. So you should know your values.
Yes. Thank
Yeah.
you. Yes. Also on this day, Venus is going to make a sextile to Uranus. So again, unexpected shit is going to happen, is going to come up. I definitely feel that strongly, and you are going to need to learn how to adapt. That's essentially the theme of Friday.
Yeah. I mean, we are still in Mercury retrograde shadow phase. We are in Gemini season. And now here comes Uranus into the crew. Like, yikes. it's gonna be like, okay, but that's what the fun of it is. Like, what if this is a like, oh my God, we had to take a wrong turn or whatever, and we ended up in this one gas station, but this lady was like, oh my gosh, I can't go to this fucking amazing concert. Can you take these tickets? And fuck, like, you know?
Yep, and it is like that because it's making a sextile, so it's a good thing. It's like
Yeah.
I also think of it too as like being in the right place at the right time for that caretaking purpose. You know, like maybe somebody breaks down on the side of the road and then someone else, you know, happens to take a wrong turn, but they were just there when that other person needed them to take care of them in that moment.
If you are a woman, don't ever stop. That's just my own opinion. That's
No, I
my own
get
opinion.
it. I get it. I've been watching this show called Power on I think it's called The Power on Amazon, and it's like these women start gaining these like electric superpowers, and it's like this whole women revolution thing. And I was saying to my boyfriend last night, I'm like, sometimes, you know, like that's what it would like it that's what it would take almost for us to be strong enough to stand up to men. Like we'd have to form some kind of like superpower so they'd all be scared of us, you know? Anyways, that was a side rant.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's it for Friday. Saturday.
Hey!
May 27th. So the moon will move into Virgo and start to square the sun in Gemini. We are going to have a mutable square. More of this being adaptable thing. But it's in the adaptable signs.
Yep.
So it's more about being adaptable about what you know versus what other people are telling you. So like information input versus information output. Or information input versus information that you hone in on that you already own. You know, I always think of Virgo as that like wise old sage in a cave,
Okay.
you know, as to where
All of
Gemini is
the
like the
answers are
factoid.
within,
Yes.
and then Gemini is all of the answers are without.
There you go. Good way of putting that. Yeah. So it's remaining. And one thing I want to point out when it comes to squares or oppositions, it's like it's not either or. So it's not like, oh, you're either going to be this energy or that energy. The whole point in these aspects is that it's both and, you know,
Yep.
you're able to be adaptable with information coming in and you're able to be adaptable about the information you already have.
That was great.
Also
Glad you said that.
Saturn and Pisces will be squaring the sun. So Pisces will
Okay.
be part of this
Oh, the feelings come into it all. Okay.
but again, the moon moves quick, so
Yeah.
you're gonna be feeling that Saturn square sun more so all day than the moon square sun. Um so when I say that and and Saturn being in Pisces, and I've actually been breaking that down more lately too about Saturn and Pisces being about these this revamp on old worn out spiritual traditions.
Oh, I heard you say that. Yes, I love that.
So
And
when
being
that
okay with that. I've had a lot of Pisces energy come to me, or even if you like have your North Node in Pisces or your Saturn in Pisces, like all this Pisces energy is coming to me now. Like, I think I need to like add something spiritual or something. Like I'm a little lost. Like, so follow it, everybody. That's what that call is.
yeah, back to that scientist analogy, you know, like let's say for the last 20 years you've been believing something spiritually and now you're getting hit with like again, are you going to be humble enough to go, because to me personally spirituality is a very personal thing. And I think
Yeah.
that that's why everybody's been getting hit with this lately is because maybe you've been following something outside of yourself.
Right.
And
Or
this is
what
kind
your
of
parents believed, or what your town believed, or both, or blah blah blah.
or you've been just, you know, religiously listening to some spiritual guru on YouTube
Yeah.
for the last 10 years, you know, whatever it might be. I think we're all getting hit with that right now. Just like, no, this comes from within. And if something within me is telling me that I need to change course in my direction right now, then that's more important than whatever Guru Sally on YouTube says.
Yep. Yeah.
And that's that information input and output again too, you know. So maybe you start to kind of go through the people that you listen to on YouTube or the people that you follow on social media or the religious friends that you surround yourself with, or, you know, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe you kind of play a little bit of clean house with this information input that
Virgo.
isn't authentically aligned with you anymore.
Mm. Of course, that Virgo moon comes in and cleans house.
I love it. I kind of want to coin this week. It reminds me of like this whole week is kind of like when you first start an RPG video game and you get to build your character. Like that is this week, you know, like you are in build your character phase right now because you have transformed, you have went through this whole journey of leaving this past you behind and coming into this new you. So you get,
Values, new
yeah.
everything. Yeah.
So you get to use this week to be like, you know, putting in all the stats
The
and
testing, the almost testing phase. Like, I don't even know anything about video games, but I know that there's something that you can play where it doesn't count against whatever. What is that?
like a beta or something.
Like a testing round or a free round or whatever. You know what I mean? Something like that.
Okay.
Whatever. Practice round.
Oh yeah, like training round or practice
Yeah.
round. Yeah, I get you. Okay. Yeah, you get to take your new character through this and kind of test the limits.
All of the limits. Everything comes into aspect this week, it feels like.
Yeah, it's gonna be, you know, your pain. How good of a caretaker are you? How healthy is your inner child? What are your values? Are your spiritual traditions outdated? Like, yeah, a lot of that going on.
Yeah. Fun.
I love it. Okay,
Yeah.
so last day, Sunday, May 28th. So the moon is still in Virgo. Clean house energy is still going on, and Jupiter nears to the north node. So I think that this is going to be that kickoff of like, you know, you're getting more abundance, you're getting more luck, you're getting more expansion into this goal of where you're moving towards in the future. So like, and I've noticed in my own personal life that the more that I just live within these transits, the more these things really do pay off. Because if you hit Sunday and you're just like, it's still not working, like take a assessment then real quick. Be like, what did I do this whole week prior to get me ready for this moment? Because if I didn't do shit to get me ready for this moment, then why am I mad that I'm not reaping the results?
Yes. You have to put in work. You are always growing. Every single human is growing. That includes your mental health. That includes your emotional health. That includes your spiritual health in all ways. So you have to always be learning and be open to that. Because if you're not, then you get left in the dust and you become a stubborn old person and nobody wants you here anymore.
I like that you just said all that with the Virgo energy coming into this too, because it's like, are you one of those people that think that if you're one of those people that think that you have met some kind of finish line and you're this expert, I said this in my video too, where it's like you get to this point where you're just like, well, I am the expert of what I know. And so now I'm going to go and I'm going to change, I'm going to like teach this and I'm going to mentor people and I'm going to become this guiding force that everyone can look up to, and they should all aspire to attain the same level that I do because I have mastered it. But what the problem with that is that master isn't continuing to unfold and grow and learn because they think they already fucking know everything.
What is that saying? Like glass ceiling or something? Like,
oh yeah.
It's like something like there's no ceiling. Like you are always going to keep evolving. You should always aspire to. Anyways, that's the healthy way. And it is exhausting and it does suck, but it's also exhausting and it sucks really bad to not choose to grow too because you lose people
you know what feeling stuck feels like. You know, do you want to feel stuck always or do you want to feel uncomfortable? Do you want to feel uncomfortable?
Both is uncomfortable. Yeah.
Yep.
Uncomfortable good towards the good, going towards the good, or uncomfortable staying stubborn and stuck in the past.
Ooh, you made me think of one more quick analogy too. I watched this lady on YouTube. I can't remember who or what or whatever, so I'm just gonna say it. But she explained how like when you disassociate from your emotions, it's because, or like you're trying to always stay busy to disassociate from your emotions. She's like, it feels like there's these wolves chasing you, and these wolves are your emotions, and so you're always trying to outrun them and outrun them and outrun them. Like, it's so terrifying, right? Because it feels like fucking
Yeah.
wolves. But the second that you stop running and you just sit down, you let those wolves come to you, they suddenly turn into a fucking silly, goofy looking platypus, right? And you're like, oh, I was running away from this fucking wolf this whole time. And if I would have just like sat down with this wolf and realized it wasn't a fucking wolf, I wouldn't need to be running my whole life.
Yeah. Or it could just, they make friends with you, you
Yeah,
know?
that too. Yeah. That's it. That's all I got.
I have to read platypus and maybe it'll come up for other people, but it has come up like so many times recently. Um, oh yeah, yesterday.
Yep, I
Oh,
know. That's why I keep it in
okay.
my head.
So this is a time of heightened sensitivity. So pay close attention to the cues that your body gives you. Take time to discover the layers of meaning behind any significant encounters. There we go. That's the main thing. So rather than trying to adapt to others' demands or their pace, stay in tune to your own internal rhythms and move with those accordingly.
Fucking perfect.
Wow. The situation before you requires you to have absolute faith in the process and go with the flow, neither resisting nor being passive and non responsive. Your clairvoyance is increasing, and you will find that you are more readily trusting your inner vision. Include food into your diet that's underground, such as potatoes and carrots. Mm,
Which
cool.
also makes sense because when we talk about Taurus energy and we are sustaining and building these deep roots into what is in alignment for
Yeah,
ourselves.
it's
Yeah.
the long haul thing. Wow. Ah, that was cool. Okay, so the platypus thing. So let's go into. I have honey on everything right now. It like, wow. So this is what I was talking about. We have the fucking Seven of Cups. So this is the delusional card. There's only one path to the heart. However, finding it may be difficult. Am I supposed to be reading tarot right now? We're done, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
No,
okay.
you're
Okay.
you're right on track.
Okay. Finding it may be difficult as the mind can easily play tricks on you and get confused by the shimmer and seduction of the outside world. Only one pathway will take you where you want to go. And to know this path, you need to only feel and attend to the information within your heart. I'm going to read the rest of this. The patch floats through this heavy underwater realm and observes the multitude of possibilities suspended around him. Seven cups appear to him as a dreamlike state, showing all that can be experienced, from riches and contentment to phantoms, serpents, and dragons. Yet, which cup will deliver that desired outcome? Only one will lead him to where his soul truly wishes to go. So it's the heart. You have to pay attention to you. Okay, so that one. This is the Sacred Cycles book again, and we got the Passion Flower card. I am courageous. How Leo energy. Okay, Passion Flower invites you to acknowledge what is new and unknown within you, gently unfurling to climb and wind its way to new heights in the world of herbalism. Passion flower is an ally for soothing the nerves and to help unwind the fixated mind. Witness your inner dialogue and assess it whether certain repeating thought patterns truly serve you. Wow. With its otherworldly blossoms, Passion Flower teaches you that each new adventure may begin with a mystery as you navigate towards new possibilities. This flower friend holds you within the realm of infinite potential and asks you to cultivate your courage. You can find inspiration as its ever reaching vines are the ways of the twist and the twine between many obstacles and pursuits of growth. It's time for you to reach towards uncharted domains and beyond the spaces that you've grown used to. I love how it always just like, uh,
Perfect.
The
It always
journal,
gives me chills at the end when
I
you read,
know.
honestly. Yeah, I
It's
love
so
it. And
weird.
we used to do that even with our daily shit
Yep,
was always like that too. I love it.
it's crazy. The journal prompt with this, it says, where in my life could I use a bit of courage to ensure I continue on my own growth journey? Wow. We have to put that in the thing. I'll write it in the YouTube or whatever. Okay, the next one is contra natrium against nature. Whoa. What does that mean? Oops, it's probably way in the back. It just got really hot in here. LVI. Here we go. Willfulness to force or control. On some level, we all know when we are going against nature. We recognize it in feelings of impatience and agitations that arise when trying to force certain outcomes. The Contra Natrium card arrives to remind the alchemists that they cannot control the uncontrollable. Nature has its way of enveloping us in a wild narrative that we can collaborate in, but not dictate. No matter our efforts to manage every aspect of our lives, the mess ensues. Spring is soggy. The lotus requires mud. People do what they do. This card heeds a warning to not fight the flow of Mother Nature or destiny. Once we loosen the grips of what we think life should look like, a whole new realm of possibilities awakens. Now is the time to be radically open to what nature has in store for you. Love it.
Dude, it's funny that it says that too, because when I talked about the Pluto Mars thing, that is exactly what I said with that bypassing Pluto. As I'm like,
Oh,
basically, Pluto is the shit that the power.
yeah.
It's the power that's out of your control. As to
Yep.
where Mars is the control you try to project onto things, and how those will be like a power struggle, right?
Yep.
So
The
perfect.
whole week. Wow. So it also says in here, be mindful this card appears with the Saturn or the Iron card. No. Think of this card as trying to force a square peg into a round hole. There is likely a solution waiting for you to see it. Shake things up, dance, tell a joke, take a break. Love it. Oh, weird. Watch the Talking Heads music video, Nothing But Flowers. And to ponder what we resist, we persist.
I love that. Talking Heads. I remember them.
I know, me too. I want to look that up too.
What's the name of the song again?
It says in parentheses, nothing but, and then out of the parentheses it says flowers. So I don't know. Yeah. Woo! Okay. So this is gonna be a big week, but we've been doing the work. We're here, we're doing it.
We've got this.
Yeah, we really do. We just have to bob and weave, accept and adapt. Like, I mean, here we are, we're in muted energy again. And that is all about going with the flow. I feel like
It's
I
cool
just
too
got
because
here and talked about, yeah, because Pisces season. We were talking in Pisces season.
yeah.
Did we do a podcast? I don't know.
No, we didn't. That's
Because
right. That was
Pisces
when we
season
were
was
off.
crazy.
Yep.
Okay, so here we go. Here's another muted season. Are we going to let it be crazy or are we going to flow with it?
And back to that inner child lessons of Leo, like it said at the end of that card, like have you ever seen a kid play? Like I'll watch my 6-year-old play with her Legos, and if she's getting frustrated that this Lego piece isn't, working out the way she thought, she will just get the fuck up and start playing with her dolls. You know what I mean?
So
And then she'll go
switch,
back to it
accept, and
later.
adapt.
Yeah, and she'll go back to it later and she'll figure it out, but she just needed to give her head some space from it for a sec, so like I think that's a good thing to keep in mind as we go forward too, and to keep that overarching thing about the authenticity thing, and maybe it's not like, for instance, with this new moon, when I did my intention setting, I didn't write down a bunch of shit of like, oh, I want a new refrigerator, or $10,000 or like whatever. I didn't write down shit like that. Like instead I wrote down like I want to be more in touch with my emotions. I want to be more consistent with my morning routine. I think the reason why I did that is because I'm basically saying to the universe, hey, that external shit that I want, you know it, but I want it to be what's right for me. So I'm gonna focus on me. You all focus on bringing me the shit that I need, you know?
Yep. And that's the long haul. Like you got to take care of yourself before anything else can fucking go right. So and that's you taking care of yourself step by step, whatever, and then those things will come, you know. So yeah. Yay. So
Okay,
Erika's gonna be traveling all over, and we're gonna try to connect the next couple Mondays. But again, here we are, muted season, whatever. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, and it's okay. Is there anything that's like crazy that's coming up while you're gonna be gone that you can think of?
I don't know right off the top of my head that I don't think so. I want to see most of the other big shifts. I don't know.
Full
There
moon
probably
is
is.
on the 3rd.
Yeah. I don't want to say that there's not because I'm sure that there is. But I will say that I
There's that.
do think I will still be able to do
Yeah.
this podcast. And I also want to say that even like besides the podcast, I will still always like
Yeah,
I always
be
make
putting out
posts
stuff.
and talk
Yeah,
about, you know, things going on. So
just
yeah,
follow along.
don't
Yeah.
be worried about it. Yeah.
Okay. All
Speaking
right.
of which, down in the description box below, you will find links to all of Claire's stuff and all of my stuff. And if you're interested in working with us together, also reach out and let us know. If you have any questions or feedback, feel free to comment down below or send us an email. And don't forget to like and subscribe and share if you find our message valuable. If you find this valuable, help us out.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you all. And again, thank you all for bearing with us as we're just trying to develop. Like, we have new stuff at the beginning. We might have timestamps. We might have, like, just, we're trying. We're trying. Erika's learning so many new things, and I appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right. Until next time. Bye.
Bye.